Hello dear students, welcome back once again. So now we will discuss about pressure exerted by ideal gas or perfect gas. Pressure on which the container in which the gas is confined. But what do you mean by perfect or ideal gas? Now to know about perfect or ideal gas, we need to get the concept of the state of the matter, isn't it? That is, a matter exists in three states: solid, liquid and gas. Then if you want to understand about perfect or ideal gas, we need to know about perfect or ideal solid, isn't it? We all know that in case of solid, the molecules are densely tightly packed. It means the intermolecular space is absolutely negligible, zero. That's why the intermolecular attraction is maximum. So that's why they have definite shape and size, isn't it? As we gradually move from solid to liquid, the intermolecular space increases and intermolecular force becomes negligible, decreases, and it loses and it starts losing definite shape or size, isn't it? Then when it reaches to volume, to gas, its intermolecular space is maximum and intermolecular attraction or force is minimum. So it means if we want to say what is ideal solid, from the concept of ideal or perfect solid, we can get the idea of perfect gas easily. It means a gas, a substance is said to be a perfect solid, which we call the perfectly rigid body. It means there is no distance between two molecules, absolutely zero. And in terms of intermolecular forces, that is maximum intermolecular force. So in case of, so now exactly in the similar way, if we want to explain what is ideal or perfect gas, since from journey from solid to liquid to gas, intermolecular space increases. So we can say in case of perfect or ideal gas, intermolecular force is, intermolecular gap or space is maximum, isn't it? So that in that case intermolecular force, isn't it? Intermolecular force or attraction is negligible. In that case, the gas we can say that is ideal or perfect gas. Not only that, in case of perfect or ideal gas, it is assumed that it is considered that molecules are of point mass. Molecules are point mass which have no volume, which so total gas, okay. So it means total volume is zero, almost negligible. But in case of perfect gas, whatever the tiny the particles have, they contain some, okay, some sort of volume. In case of ideal gas, since the intermolecular space is maximum, so there is no intermolecular force of attraction or repulsion. It means that total potential energy is zero, and that's why they obey Charles and Boyle's law. So the ideal case of ideal gas, the molecules are point mass, the total volume is zero. Okay, intermolecular space is maximum. There is no intermolecular force of attraction or repulsion, means total potential energy is assumed zero, and they obey Charles and Boyle's law. But in case of real gas, there is no such assumptions. But again, like each and everything, like ideal machine, ideal condition, isn't it? It is very, very hard to come by an ideal gas in practice, isn't it? So this is ideal or perfect gas. So now we will just try to find out the expression of pressure exerted by ideal or perfect gas. So suppose there is a hollow cubical vessel or container, okay, inside which some ideal gas is kept, okay, and the length, since this is a cube, so each face is square, and the length of each side is L, okay, and since it contains some ideal gas, so there will be some molecules. So suppose there are total n number of molecules, n small n, and the mass of each molecule is m, okay. And now we will consider for a single molecule, and from the single molecule we will get the expression of the pressure exerted by the entire gas, means total molecules. So mass of each molecule is m, total number of molecules in the content n, so total mass is obviously mn, we can clearly say. V is the velocity of a single molecule. So inside the cube we can see, okay, there are three dimensions, that is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. They are mutually or orthogonally perpendicular to each other, very easy. Now we will consider the particular velocity of a particular single molecule. So suppose this is the velocity of a single molecule. So obviously, since this is a three-dimensional space, so obviously it will have three components, that is along x-axis, along y-axis, and along z-axis. So at a particular moment when the velocity of the molecule is v, and considering its component, the component of the velocity of the molecule at x, y, and z axis, we can easily write v square equals to vx square plus v square plus vz square. Okay. So now, so you can see there are two phases. Obviously, in fact, there are three phases. That is A, this side. This is A phase, and this is opposite surface of plane. A plane, then is opposite A dash, upper B, and B dash at the down. Okay, at the below that side C and C dash. Okay, it has not been mentioned. It is not required to mention. Okay. So now, suppose now first we will consider the motion of the molecule along x-axis. So here we can see the along x-axis, the plane A is situated along x-axis. So consider at first the molecule is moving with velocity v, and considering its x component of velocity along x component of velocity. So obviously when we consider the x component of the velocity of the molecule, so then obviously it will move to this direction. Then after moving in this direction with vx, then it will strike the wall A. And one thing, its walls are perfectly elastic. Okay. So as we have already mentioned before this video that in ideal gas almost negligible volume, there is no attraction or repulsion between the molecules. Then how they create or exert pressure? Here the pressure in case of ideal gas only exerts pressure only in terms of collision, isn't it, with the walls? Okay, because here the pressure depends on the number of the pressure is generally calculated in terms of number of collisions with the walls, the container, or whatsoever. So here pressure exerted by ideal gas is only due to collisions. Clear? So now the molecule is moving towards x-axis. So after moving, considering its x component velocity to strike the wall A, then after striking it will rebound in its opposite direction. Since here all the faces of the cube is perfectly elastic, so there will be, we can say, frictionless. So there will be no loss in velocity or momentum. So after striking the wall A with velocity vx, as you can see, then after striking A, it will rebound with exactly opposite velocity. Then again it will strike its opposite face, and again it will move to the A. Clear? Strike, focus, then again, focus, then again, like this. So after striking wall A with velocity vx, as I have already told that initially its x component velocity is vx. So with this velocity vx along x-axis, considering it will strike A, then after striking it will rebound, return with velocity minus vx. Very easy, opposite direction. So the initial momentum is m into vx. The initial momentum of the molecule is mvx. Then after striking, when it rebounds in the opposite direction, about to strike the A dash, that is the opposite wall, its final momentum is minus vx. So change in momentum, striking A. So change in momentum equals to twice mvx, we can say. Not striking it, the change of momentum is striking. After striking it, we can write. So change in momentum of molecule initial momentum mvx, then minus mvx. Obviously it means that is after striking. So it means its momentum is twice mvx. So obviously it will impart the momentum from mvx to the wall. Now notice one thing. After striking L, since the length of the each side is L, small l. So after striking L, it strikes, focus, then again rebounds, then again strikes A to the distance L, then again it strikes A, again L. So after striking the wall A or the face A, then again it strikes A dash, and then again. It means in between two successive collisions with wall A, how much distance it travels? Very easy. After striking L, then again, this is L, very easy. After striking, I am saying, focus, striking, after striking, L against I, then again. L plus L is twice L. So we can say the distance between two successive collisions with A is twice L. So and since velocity is Vx, so the required time to travel this distance, what will be the required time? So what will be the required time? What will be the time it will take to cover this distance twice L? Very easy, twice L by Vx. Why? Vx is the velocity, Vx is the distance in 1 second unit. Okay, 1 by Vx, twice L by second. So we can say that is one collision. So after twice L and Vx second, it will collide with at an interval. So at an interval of twice L by Vx second, it will strike A. So in between twice L Vx second, it will collide only one, because after colliding A, it travels to L, and required time is T twice L by Vl second. So one collision needs twice L by Vx second. So the number of collisions in 1 second, it is Vx by twice L. Very easy. One collision need twice L by Vx second. So we can say in twice L by Vx second, it suffers one collision. So in 1 second, Vx by twice L. Isn't it? Very easy. I think you have understood. Very easy. Unitary method. Very easy example. Okay. Very easy. So at an interval of twice L by Vx second, it will collide with A. Okay. So number of collisions per second is Vx by 12. Now rate of change of momentum, you all know that according to Newton's second law, that is rate of change of momentum equals to nothing but the applied force. So the force on the wall by the molecule, force on the wall, rate of change of momentum is nothing means equals to force. So this is the change in momentum. Okay. Then total number of collisions in 1 second, isn't it? This is number of collisions. So the total rate of change of momentum, as you can see, change in momentum. Okay. Then total number of collisions in 1 second. In one collision, momentum is twice mvx. Then the number of collisions in 1 second. So it will be multiplied. That is twice mvx into vx by twice m. Total rate of change of rate means with time. The rate of change of equals to force on the wall by one molecule. So the momentum in by one molecule. Then total number of collisions. This is number of momentum in one collision. So then the number of collisions in 1 second. Okay. mv square by n. So total force on the wall A equals to by n molecules. This is for only one molecule. Since beginning we have considered only one molecule. So this is for one molecule. So for total number of force on the wall for n molecules, it will be multiplied. Okay, that is m by L. Now this is for only one molecule along x-axis. So for one molecule along x-axis, now we will consider the x. Now we are considering the x component velocity of all the molecules. Initially we have assumed only one molecule. So for first molecule, that is Vx1. For second molecule Vx2. Third molecule Vx3, Vx4. Then up to there are n number of molecules. As we have said, V is the velocity of a single molecule. So it will have three components along x, along y, along z. So if there are 100 molecules, so first molecule will have component, first component, isn't it? Suppose this is one molecule. So for one velocity there will be one. Okay. For first molecule, now suppose there are 100 molecules. For one molecule, each molecule will have x component velocity, y component velocity, z component. So for first molecule, it will be first x velocity Vx1, Vy1, Vz1. Similarly for second molecule, it will be Vx2, Vy2, Vz2. So that's why for one molecule along x-axis it is Vx1. For all molecules along x-axis, this is for first molecule, second molecule, third molecule. So now total pressure, since our topic is upon pressure. So what will be the total pressure? Pressure is nothing but, we all know that, force per unit area. So this is force unit area. This is L. It means it is generally multiplied by L square. So that's why it is L cube. Okay. M Vm square. Okay. L. It is only multiplied. That is pressure force per unit area. M by L divided by L square. It turns into L cube. Very easy. Then N into V. Why you have taken? It is multiplied N divided by N. If we cancel each other, they will they remain the same form. V in place of L cube. Since L cube is the volume, so we can write. So now this is the X component pressure. So this is the pressure exerted by molecule on the wall situated on the X component, that is on wall A. Very easy. Similarly, the pressure exerted by the molecules, all the molecules, okay, all the molecules along y-axis of the phase, which is the B. A is the wall situated along x-axis. Now B is the wall situated along y-axis, that is perpendicular to y-axis. So this is the X component pressure. The X component of pressure exerted by all the molecules. Similarly, the pressure exerted by all the molecules on the face perpendicular to y, that is Py Mn by V. Similarly, instead of X, we will just replace it by y. Okay. Then for Pz, Pz means that is along this side towards us. Okay, that is along Z. Mn by V, all expressions are same, only components will be changed. And now, from the characteristics, okay, of the fluid pressure, we all know that fluid exerts pressure in all directions with equal magnitude. So we can write Px equals to Py equals to Pz is equal to P. Since fluid, just like liquid or gas, exerts pressure equal pressure in all directions. So P is equal to 1/3 into Px plus Py plus Pz, that is average. Clear? So now substituting the values, we substitute the values from Px, Py and Pz. So P is equal to 1/3 Px plus Py plus Pz, 1/3 Mn by V is the common term, you can see. All these are the common term. So taking common, then we get all these, isn't it? Vx1 square plus Vx2 square, isn't it? Just like this, Vx1 square plus Vx2 square plus Vxn square, just like Vx square. Again Vy square, Vy2 square, Vyn square. So for all these X components, 1 to Xn, we get Vx bar. Okay, since this is average, okay, this is mean square. Okay, this is mean square velocity divided by n. Since Vx square, Vx square, these are the okay total square velocity. Then when we divide it by n, total number of molecules, it means mean square. These are the square velocities, then mean square. Then for all these Vx1 square, Vx square divided by n, this is Vx bars, Vx square bar. This is for Vy square bar, Vz square bar. Okay. Then 1/3 Mn by V. Then in that place, that is Vx square bar plus Vy square bar, Vz square bar, we can write V square bar, because initially we have written this. V square is equal to Vx square plus Vy square plus Vz square. But if we take a bar, that is if we get a mean, it will be obviously we can also write like this. Clear? So this is true for in any condition. So it is V square bar, which is called mean square velocity of the molecule. This is square and this is mean. Okay, bar indicates mean. To express the mean, generally the bar is used. Now Mn by V, it is 1/3 rho. What is rho? Density. Why? The mass of a single molecule is n. Total number of n number of molecules, so multiplied with total mass. So total mass by total volume equals to density. So here we can write this is density of the gas. Okay. So P is equal to 1/3 Mn. Okay. That is rho. Okay. 1/3 rho V square. Clear? 1/3 rho V square. This is the expression of the pressure exerted by an ideal or perfect gas. Now there is an interesting relation. Now P is equal to, now we can write this equation in different shape. You can write say, you can see P equals to 2/3 into half. We have taken half. Why? Half cancel. Now rho V square. Now so 2/3 we have kept 2/3, then half rho V square is equal to, we have written E. Again from perfect gas equation, that is ideal gas equation, we know Pv is equal to RT. So P is equal to RT by V, isn't it? Pv is equal to RT for 1 mole of gas. So P is equal to RT by V. So that is also equals to RT by V. So together equation in form. So now E is equal to half rho V square. What does it call? It is called translational kinetic energy per unit volume. Why per unit volume? Since we have divided it by V, that is per unit volume. Rho is equal to M by V. So if we want to write the expression of M instead of rho, we can write M by V into V square. It also means translational kinetic energy per unit volume, because this is not M. If we write here in place of M, then we have divided it by V, then we get rho. That's why it's called we know the kinetic energy, the expression of kinetic energy half mv square. But since this is half mv square, but how did we get rho? By dividing total m divided by v per unit volume, then we get rho. That's why it is called translation kinetic energy per unit volume. So we can say that the pressure exerted by perfect gas is directly proportional to translational kinetic energy per unit volume. Again, directly proportional to the absolute temperature or inversely proportional to volume of the gas. So this is the required expression and very important expression exerted by ideal or perfect gas.